their child be successful. And I can't say enough about that partnership and finding your partner to work through that team so that your children are successful. But what these programs do is they teach them about law, the media. We actually take them up to the state legislature. Many of them have advocated for bills. Many of my graduates serve on boards of education. I think I have 3 in Middletown that have or are planning to serve on the Board of Education. We have a couple legislators up at the state who are graduates of parent leadership. But the fascinating thing is bringing together a group of people that want to affect change. And it's very important. We actually interview them to be part of parent leadership. And it's very important that it's a diverse group of people. So we don't want the whole, PTA or, all the people from this neighborhood. We want a diverse population because we live in a diverse population. And to affect change, we need to learn how to work with each other. So we will have conversations about race, about what makes an effective school. And I think what's eye-opening for the participants is that we all have different opinions. And we have to learn how to come to consensus and be open to change and learn how to move an agenda and learn how to understand the law and advocate for what you feel passionate about. And many of them come to the table and want to take these classes, and honestly, their project, they want to change the world. And we have to help them focus, and bring it closer. But we also have to help them understand the big picture. Just because you might want to have parent-teacher conferences every day for your child, you think that's a great thing, do you understand the ramifications of staff and how we would come about that? So we really try to help them understand the whole process and be more effective change agents.
And there's a percentage of some of the work that you have done also has been, because there's been a percentage of special ed staff who also have taken this. And
yes.
So the advantage, and one of the conversations that we had as a group was the importance of having a dual conversation, and that this, the work to affect change cannot happen without having both staff and parents at the table together, and for change to happen. And you actually saw that happening when at these leadership trainings.
Yes, we have had staff that have taken parent leadership training, but I also have to say that over the past 20 years, one of the, my job has really changed. I think I was brought in original as a volunteer senior coordinator, and then we talked about parent involvement, and then we moved into parent engagement for student success. And I like to say that that's when I started working with staff and empowering and building capacity of staff to work with families. That's really when we saw more change happen than if I was, I'm one person in a school with 5,000 students and 600 staff. I can't really affect change. I need to empower other people. And that's really when we saw a change, is that when parents and staff came together and learned together about family engagement, they learned from each other. And with parent leadership, that's also what you see, is parents and staff, community members, teachers, anyone in that room learn from each other. And it's not just parents, it's anyone that cares about children that comes to be part of parent leadership.
Well, and I spoke a little bit about, and we've all been talking indirectly about climate change, but we really have talked about how do we impact climate. And as leaders, we need to impact and change our school climate. Can you talk a little bit, Janet? I know that you have, in our conversations, shared with us around the kinds of things that you have done to impact the climate. Some of them have been involved with what you've done with the work with your staff, because they don't reflect your student population, and then you do some things in the morning, for example.
Yeah, we, again, because my staff doesn't look like the population they service, we get to have, and because we're part of the Turnaround and Commissioners Network, we get to have a whole week's worth of professional development prior to the start of the district. And so on my first professional development with my staff, I also had the opportunity to hire 75% of my staff brand new. So the first day, the title of our professional development was Elephant in the Room. And so I started out by saying, look around the room Tell me what you noticed. And everybody was so politically correct, mostly women. I said, okay, tell me what else you noticed. We're all young. I said, okay, be careful. Tell me what else you noticed. And one young man finally said, we're all white. I said, thank you. I said, so what we're going to do is deal with the elephant in the room. And so we did the color line activity, which is 26 pre-prescribed questions. And they ask questions like, I can go to the store and buy bandages in my flesh color, or I can live anywhere and feel comfortable, or I can speak and not be considered to speak for an entire race. And the questions, you rate them 0, 3, or 5 according to your own truth. And what happens always, and I've done this for the last 14 years, is that the hue of people, when you add up the score and you line people up according to their score, it goes from the darkest hue of skin all the way to the lightest. And then that stimulates a conversation about why, when, where, how. Why is our experiences so different? And then the other thing we do to change the climate in our building is, I believe, I'm a faith-based person. My community is faith-based. And so every day at 8:20, I announce over the loudspeaker, optional staff meeting in room 108. And what that is we get together and pray. And between 30 and 40 people come every day. And we have 5 things we ask for consistently. And that is that we ask for grace sufficient for the trials of the day, that we be given the discernment to look beyond their behaviors to see what they really need, that we remember that our job is not just a job, but it's a vocation, it's a calling, that we remember what we do to the least of these little ones, we've done it as unto the Father, but then we ask that we be given the pleasure and the joy of stirring up a gift and unearthing a talent that they didn't know they had. And we do that 180 days a year. And the impact it's had is that we've been able to, we invite the community in. Anybody that's in the building can come into the optional staff meeting. We've had the Connecticut State Department of Education. We've had the mayor and the superintendent. We have parents come in. But what it does is it reveals our heart for our community and for our children and for our families. And the other thing that we're doing is once a month we have what's called Community Hour. And because my parents have shared with me that they miss the faith-based feel. And so the Community Hour is that we come in for 1 hour, we'll sing songs of inspiration, we'll talk about what the concerns are of the community, and then we'll pray, and then we'll go home. But whatever we need to do, we want to impact our community because the families had been disenfranchised for so long. We want to impact our community from the inside out. So if we change the climate on the inside of our community, it will impact the outside and therefore affect change as well.
And what you have done is you have taken and actually given a mission and goal, and you have surrounded that around faith, but whether you do that around faith or whether you just surround it with a mission and goal and have that mantra be a mantra on a daily basis, that is what's tying the community. So that is actually what is helping be a cohesive thread on a daily basis. And you have chosen it to be faith-based, but it could just equally be successful as a mantra and cohesiveness. And I'm going to wrap up with that question with just giving, I think you wanted to add something, Sharon, on that, or are you all set?
Well, in East Hartford, we all have mission statements and vision statements. And for the first years I was in East Hartford, we had our mission statement on the wall. I couldn't even tell you what it was. But with the arrival of our new superintendent a couple of years ago, he said, you know, we need to make meaning of our vision and our mission. And so in East Hartford, I truly believe that each staff person can tell you and embrace what our vision is. We want schools that are the pride of our community, we want our families, our students to be proud of their schools, and we are proud of our schools. And our mission truly is that we want to provide a high-quality education to each of our children, every child, every day. And so we do make meaning of that. It's not a message on a wall.
Thank you. Our last question, and I know we just have a few more minutes left for that, but it's what challenges and obstacles do you face?
I can start off with that. We have a union contract, as I'm sure all of you do. Our teachers are mandated to be out in the evening for 2 meetings a year, which it could be an open house, an event for students and families in the building. But we all know that we do have parents that just can't make it into a PPT during the school day. And to schedule PPTs, truly it is to be mutual between the family and the school system. So what we try and do in reality is appeal to the professionalism of the teachers, to appeal to their heart when a family really needs to meet in the evening. And we can't mandate that they do that. We will offer flex time for our teachers as a way of assisting them in coming out in the evening, so that perhaps if they're out 2 to 3 hours in an evening, they can come in late on an identified day. So that is one of the challenges that we face.
Go ahead.
Okay. One of the challenges we faced, and I know it's not just a particular challenge for us, but in dealing with parents, our parents come with their own biases, their own experiences that might color their view of what it is you do. And so we've worked very, very hard at trying to understand what the issues are of our parents. And again, this is building relationships. This is partnering with our parents. And to that extent, our staff, while we're bound by contract as well, one of the things I don't like to do is have meaningless meetings. So if our contract says that we have 3 staff meetings a month, I'll barter with my staff and say, okay, if I cancel this meeting, will you be able to come to the parental engagement this night? And 85% of my staff has always been able to do it, and they've always gone beyond and above, or they'll bring their children with them so that they can make it a family activity. So the obstacles we face, we're able to overcome them together.
And so I guess we all probably have challenges of time and money. And so I can't say enough to make parent engagement part of everything you do. Don't make it something on the side. You know, is it in your district improvement plan as a separate item, parent engagement, or is it part of everything? We need parent engagement to improve reading, to improve math, to improve the school climate. So it needs to be part of everything. And just to think about doing things a little differently than we always have, and to take the time to evaluate, what are you doing now? Maybe there's some ineffective things, so take the time to sit back, evaluate what you're doing now, and see what you can do differently in the future. And make sure, I can't say this enough, if you're talking about parent engagement, if you're coming up with something new or a program for parents, have them at that table with you. Ask them what they want. We recently got a grant, and we were going to do something with it. When we brought all the families together, we did something differently with it because they said they needed more support in an after-school program. And so it's important when you're making decisions for parents to have them at the table.
And when we were talking about parents and parents coming to meetings, and I had shared with you all that oftentimes my dad worked 3 jobs in order to make it possible for us to go to school, and my mom would be the one that would be called to parent conferences, and often that meant that she had to take a bus or walk, and sometimes it wasn't possible because 5 children, and oftentimes they were little, and as I became an educator, I wondered whether or not some of those teachers thought my mom didn't care. And you shared with us a story about a parent who You want to share that story?
Sure. I also oversee some home visiting programs in our district, and I'm aware of a parent who actually works in the service industry, and she lost her job because she was called to the school so many times. And really what we need to do is start to understand the family stories. And I know our schedules are sometimes very inflexible, but so are parents. And do we think about that? Do we think about when we invite them into the school, how long are we having them wait before they actually meet with us? Because their time is as valuable as our time at the schools, and we need to be flexible on both sides. Mm-hmm. So I can't say enough about learning family stories, taking time to build relationships with families so that they can be more helpful to their children and help their children be more successful.
Thank you, thank you. So I hope you have had the opportunity to just get a glimpse of the 2-hour plus conversation, and we did this twice, and it was really exciting. I walked away really invigorated each time. So I wanted to thank you, all three of you, for taking the time today to be here this morning, and I think we're going to take some questions now.
Yeah, we thought it might be a good idea to give you some time to ask our panel a question. We have Steve and Nikki who will go around the room. So if you would like to ask a question to our panel members, please raise your hand and they'll come over with a microphone, and hopefully that'll work out.
Great.
They were that good.
They were that good.
Okay, seeing no questions, please join me in thanking our panelists. So as a way of kind of putting some closure on this activity, we have put up some prompts for you to discuss at your tables. If you had a strategy that you used in your district or school that was successful in engaging families of students with disabilities, we'd like you to share that with the other folks that you're sitting with. If you found an item from today's discussion that you were interested in and you thought maybe that would be something that you would bring back to your district, that would be something that you could share. And also kind of brainstorming what supports would be needed in your district to increase family engagement for students with disabilities. And as you're having that discussion, we're also going to move into our break. So we're going to be starting again promptly at 10:50. And Gail Mangs will be giving a legislative update at 10:50. So please respect the time and have a good conversation and enjoy your break.